Hello, everybody, and happy Sunday. I hope that everyone has had a wonderful weekend. I hope everyone had a wonderful Sunday. This Sunday Sprinkle is coming out a little later than usual just because I have been gone all weekend. I was in Alabama with my team and we did a little team bonding weekend. We spent the day yesterday at two of the girls. We have siblings on our team, so we spent the day at their parents' house and just sat by the pool, played games, did all sorts of stuff, and it was lovely. It was so much fun, and I'm so excited to continue to get closer with my teammates. But I, of course, wanted to hop on here and give myself a little refresher for the week, but also give all of you a little refresher. So let's jump right in. Today, I really wanted to talk about how joy is a choice. A lot of the time, we tend to think of it as a feeling, but it's not. It's really a choice. We think about it as something that shows up when things are good, when everything falls into place, when people treat us the way we want to be treated, but joy and happiness are not the same thing. Happiness actually does depend on your circumstances, but joy is a lot deeper than that, and it's something that we can choose no matter the circumstances. And that's a little bit hard to understand. I know it was hard for me to understand when I first started learning about it. And the first time I learned about it was on a mission trip a long time ago. I can't remember, middle or high school. And the whole mission trip was based around joy, finding joy. I remember thinking at first, like, oh my goodness, how am I supposed to be joyful even when I'm not happy? But as I've grown in my faith and as I have learned more about God's character and His plans for my life, I understand that when life throws curveballs at me, there are still joyful things that I can put my energy into instead of focusing on the more negative things. One thing I have truly noticed since I have found joy in the Lord is that my whole outlook on life has changed. I see things in a totally different way. I used to be a lot more negative about things, and like when something was bad, I felt it all around. But now I have learned to focus on the good, and I know who God is. I understand His character, and I understand that He has plans for my life that are greater than mine. And He has a plan for everything, and we've already talked about this on the podcast before, but since He has that plan, we can decide to focus on the good things in our life and put all of our energy into choosing joy, even when we might not be happy. Because there is good in this world, and there is so much good in your life, and we are all so blessed in so many ways. We just have to choose to see the ways that we're blessed. I'm going to read a little bit from a devotional from that mission trip I was talking about when we first learned about finding joy in the Lord. It says here, Willie Moore Jr. talked about how joy is different than happiness, and that the truest form of joy comes from having a relationship with Jesus Christ. When talking about joy, I believe that Francis Chan puts joy in an interesting perspective and is a great way to wrap up this week. This was the end of our devotional series on that mission trip. In his book, Crazy Love, he writes, have you been in a really good physical shape at some point in your life? If you aren't at that same level of fitness today, you probably know that it didn't just happen. You didn't just lose your six-pack or your ability to run 8 miles overnight. You stopped running regularly, or you quit lifting weights 3 times a week, or you started adding a couple of extra scoops of ice cream to your bowl. There are reasons that we are where we are, and we are who we are, and they aren't random. It is the same way with joy in our lives. We tend to think of joy as something that ebbs and flows depending on life circumstances. But we don't just lose joy as though one day we have it and the next day it's gone. Joy is something that we have to choose and then work for. Like the ability to run for an hour, it doesn't come automatically. It needs cultivation. When life gets painful or doesn't go as hoped, it's okay if a little of our joy seeps away. The Bible teaches us that true joy is formed in the midst of the difficult seasons of life. A person who is obsessed with Jesus is more concerned with his or her character than comfort. Obsessed people know that true joy doesn't depend on circumstances or environment. It is a gift that must be chosen and cultivated, a gift that ultimately comes from God. After that, he cites James 1:2-4. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. A little bit of just personal testimony to this. I can say that when I focus on joy and when I cultivate that joy, my whole outlook on life, my everything, is better. I remember reading this devotional and then purposefully trying to change my outlook on everything and choosing joy in every circumstance. Not happiness, joy. And I can attest to the fact that it works. When you choose joy and you put all of your hope and trust in Jesus and you choose to rejoice him and be joyful every single day that he is your Lord and Savior, your whole life changes, your outlook changes. And I'm so happy to have seen this devotional that I did recently and just think about it and reflect on it, because I totally needed it right now in this season of my life, and I needed that reminder that joy is a choice. This week's verse of the week is 1 Peter 1:8-9. You love him even though you have never seen him. Though you do not see him now, you trust him, and you rejoice with a glorious, inexpressible joy. The reward for trusting him will be the salvation of your souls. So this week, I just challenge everyone to, 1, reflect and meditate on this verse, and 2, just choose joy this week. It is a hard thing, and it's something that we do have to cultivate. So the more you choose it, the easier it will get. On our mission trip, they taught us that joy means Jesus over you. When you put Jesus over yourself, when you choose that, your life becomes more joyful. I also recall us making a joy checklist, and I actually found mine, and I'll share a couple things that I have on it with y'all. So just a few things. I put: wake up early and don't be lazy. Get into the word. Create. Be crafty. Connect with my friends and family. Take time for some self-care. Find the positive in every situation. Connect with nature and go outside. Eat nourishing food. Pray daily and grow in my faith purposefully. Go to bed at a reasonable time. Read some good books and take up some hobbies. So that was my joy checklist from several years ago, and I challenge you to just make your own joy checklist. It doesn't have to be on paper. Maybe it can just be in your head. Maybe it can be in your notes on your phone, but just reflect on the things that are going to make you more joyful in life and choose joy every single day. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining. I just pray you have a wonderful week this week, and I will see you next time. Bye.